19 de marzo 2016, estamos en México DF, Ciudad de México. Vamos a hablar con Ben Affleck, con Gal Gadot, con Henry Cavill, Zack Snyder. Se estrena Batman vs Superman, el origen de la justicia, único medio de Argentina acá. Estoy muy feliz, acompáñenos, siguen todos, vamos a hablar con todos. Escuchen lo que es esto, es una locura. Están llegando acá, la Trinidad está llegando. Hi, Henry, how you doing, man? Last time we talked here in Mexico 3 years ago before the premiere, and you tell me that you prefer a Batman and Superman movie first than leading to a Justice League movie. I don't know if you gave me a scoop there, but now I have to ask you about the Justice League film. What film do you want? What place do you want to Superman play in it?
Well, it's always an interesting one when you bring in the Justice League and you got all these heroes. What I would love to see Superman, the role he plays in that is as much. I'd like to see that kind of rivalry between both Batman and Superman as to who is in charge. I feel like Superman wouldn't necessarily be upset about not being in charge, but it'd be a fun thing to play with.
Okay, one last question. Starting next week, there is going to be one question that everybody will ask you, but here we are going to, nothing to say that, but when you first read the script and while we were shooting it, you knew how iconic and historic that moment was. You got
absolutely. It was it's a very important moment for me and something which obviously we lead up to, but and we can't talk about. But it's one of my. When I was watching the movie, it probably made me the most. I felt the most. I've got to be careful what I say, but yeah, I got to step outside the actor's mind frame and I got to be an audience member again.
Hi, nice to meet you. What was your relationship with the character before you landed the part? You know about her? How much?
I knew of her, but I didn't know much about her. No, it was only after they cast me for the part that I started to do my research.
And now you have read comics. Which ones? You have any favorites? You read comics now? Anyone? Any comic favorite? Any story?
Wonder Woman.
Any story arc that you like? Do you like most in your research?
It's funny because we collaborated so many different stories together. I think that Zack Snyder is such a genius director to bring into one movie Superman's world and Batman's world and set the ground for so many more characters to come in the future in such an interesting way is an incredible thing, and he's a master. He nailed it.
What can you tell me about the movie that you are shooting now, the solo Wonder Woman movie? How the character evolved in that movie? What side of her are going to see them?
You're gonna see a lot of her, of course. Basically, her coming of age, the growing up story. Diana becoming Wonder Woman.
It's crazy, it's crazy.
I love it.
How are you with all of this?
I'm very excited and very grateful.
Man, it's an honor to meet you. I really honor. Okay. In this movie, such an iconography, iconic figures, philosophy, psychology. Besides the visual spectacle and the action sequence, what do you want to the audience to take away from the film? What kind of analysis?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like the movie is definitely like it is an exercise in sort of mythological philosophy for sure, but it also has a very sort of it's also very personal for me because it ends up being a fight between two men and their points of view. And I really love that part of it, that like you can sort of experience this sort of super grand philosophical argument, but at the same time, you can have this really personal kind of interaction that I really love.
The movie is released in the Easter weekend, and there is a lot of religious themes in the movie. A lot. Was that a coincidence? And what kind of analysis in the way that we talked before of that film? In Man of Steel, it was a lot of that too.
Yeah, the Easter release is a coincidence. I had images of the film were conceived before that, but I mean, it works out, I guess. For me, it makes sense. And so, yeah, I mean, look, again, you know, I was said during Man of Steel, like, it's not a thing that I made up, you know, but it is a thing that I really enjoy because I think that it sort of shines a modern, it allows you to understand what happens, maybe what happened to a savior in our world.
A modern Messiah. Finally, I feel the need to put a rumor in rest. And the ending of Man of Steel, when Superman was taking down the world engine in the Pacific Ocean, it's true that there is a frame of Christopher Reeve's face amongst Henry Cavill. Fan rumor, fan theory?
Fan theory, it doesn't exist. It's just the way it looks. It's not, I mean, if it looks like that, that's the gods, not me. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Can you look at that? Hi, man.
Hola, Argentina, ¿cómo estás?
¿Todo bien? In Spanish or English?
English, I'm afraid. I'll give you a little Spanish if I can.
Oh.
Hey, hola, ¿cómo están? Hola, hola, hola. Hola, México.
Okay, man. It's an honor to meet you. For me, you are Omanion, you are Holden McNeil, and now the best Batman in history, man.
Thank you very much.
And the director of Argo, of course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, I want to ask you. In this movie, we haven't the chance to the rivalry between Superman and Batman as colleagues or friends. In a future movie, would you like to explore that? In what sense?
Explore which? Would I like to explore what?
The relationship between Batman and Superman, not only a rivalry, not such a friends, colleague.
Sí, pero en la next, how do you say next? ¿Única? No. La próxima película se llama Justice League. Vamos a trabajar juntos, Superman y yo, en el Justice League. Y somos un equipo. Entonces, creo que voy a estar muy bien.
Ahora, sé que no. I know it's not up to you, and that you can say much about it. But if you were to direct the standalone Batman movie, what kind or what history do you want to tell? The Death in the Family arc, using flashback, under the Red Hood. I mean, the seeds, las semillas are planted there.
I think what I would do is probably, do in some ways what Zach did with this movie, which is to borrow certain things from the great comic books, but create an original story around it. Because I wouldn't want the fans to already know the story and be familiar with it, but I would borrow and steal great things that have been done before in the comics.
If for this movie and the Justice League, what story do you take into account, revive?
This movie really is inspired by The Dark Knight Returns, the Frank Miller comic, which is the first comic that I read as a boy that changed the way I saw comic books and storytelling. It made it more complicated, it made it more interesting, more gray, no negro y blanco, pero un poquito gris, muy diferente que algo that I knew before. And so ever since then, I've loved this story. And when I knew Zach was doing that, I wanted to jump in right away.
Thank you, man. Muchas gracias. Can you...
Argentina, ¿qué pasa?
Bueno, con mucho ruido, con mucho quilombo. No sé bien cómo habrá quedado esto. Haremos magia en la edición, pero quedó. Hablé con Henry Cavill, hablé con Zack Snyder, hablé con Gal Gadot y finalmente con el nuevo Batman con Ben Affleck. Fue espectacular. Muchas gracias a todos. Gracias a los que estuvieron ahí del otro lado. Están viendo en el canal de cinesargentinos.com. Escuchen Badcast. Muchas gracias a Warner Argentina. Nos vemos.